The overwhelming majority of militants fighting in eastern Ukraine are Russian citizens. Those comments come from Ukraine's military spokesman Andriy Lysenko, who explained that Russian mercenaries constitute some 85% of fighters in Ukraine's Donbas region, and only about 15% are Ukrainian nationals. A recent detailed report from Britain's Royal United Services Institute found that some 10,000 Russian troops were operating in eastern Ukraine during December, but in total 42,000 Russian troops have been involved since Russia began fueling the conflict there last spring. Just last week, NATO Secretary General Jens Stoltenberg said Russia was still arming and training militant forces in eastern Ukraine.
So I will not go into specific numbers, but what I can confirm is that we have seen and still see Russian presence and strong support for the separatists in eastern Ukraine. We see the delivery of equipment, forces, training. So Russia is still in eastern Ukraine. And they have over a long period provided substantial support for the separatists. And therefore we call on Russia to withdraw all its forces from eastern Ukraine and to respect the Minsk agreement.
British Foreign Secretary Philip Hammond also said last week that Russia could once again pose a huge threat to security.
We are now faced with a Russian leader bent not on joining the international rules-based system, which keeps the peace between nations, but on subverting it. President Putin's actions, illegally annexing Crimea and using Russian troops to destabilize eastern Ukraine, fundamentally undermine the security of the sovereign nations of Eastern Europe.
Russia denies it has sent troops to Ukraine. However, Moscow also denied sending troops to Crimea last year, only later to admit it had sent troops to the peninsula to annex the territory from Ukraine.